This is the first stage of day 2. The scorecard tells it all right here. The actual shooting performance in terms of just getting the shots out there was great, but the smoke in the back corner really threw me for a loop. I knew that it would be bad. The sun was very bright. It was very low. But I just was not patient enough to compensate for that in this next position right here. Getting into this position, as I'm standing there looking at it in the walkthrough, I can see there's a little border of Charlie zone around the edge of the no shoot. And so at the last minute, I'm like, all right, don't be a weenie, dude. Like they're functionally like close to open targets. Like you have Charlie there to catch stray rounds. So try to shoot these like it's a normal target. And I dipped one of those first 2 shots in that array into the right corner of the no shoot. And it was like just, almost worth putting an overlay on it to try to get the mic scrubbed off and get the alpha. But it ultimately, wasn't worth it and wasn't there. So basically, chalk this up to not failing to account for the environmental factors with the smoke and everything. Needed to shoot those much more carefully to compensate for the sort of the strange circumstance there. And so the stage after that was probably the physically biggest stage of the match and very intimidating with lots of weird movement, very poor terrain. And again, trying to take as much of this stuff moving as possible. So I got the gun up well before this corner. So ideally, when I'm finishing this target, you can see I'm free to run down this alley here. Didn't like what I saw on that. I think I had a Charlie Delta on that with the first 2. All my feet are still slapping around in all this mud down here. So I threw an extra on that. Almost reloaded. You can see from the gun, right? Like I break my hand off like that. And I'm like, oh, wait, no, don't reload. Again, gun up early. Reload into the front, step deep left. 2 tight targets right here. And you can see just by the pacing and like how much I'm consciously confirming. Once I got into this section, I'm like, man, I really don't know what I have out there for raw points right now. Like I feel like I've been shooting kind of loose, shooting a lot of extras this whole time. So you see there's a gear change where I start shooting a lot more carefully and consciously, trying to see every sight picture, like aiming on every target. And you don't really tend to get rewarded for that when you're shooting on the move because you can't really confirm any more than you can confirm. Like if you're moving and the sights are bouncing around, you have to just accept that and trust your index. Like no amount of over confirming is going to make that happen faster. So 2 or 3 extra shots on steel in that array. Because I was moving, it probably didn't cost me as much as it could, but it always would be faster if I hit them the first time. Very, very bad stage performance right here. You'll see why. Bad grip. Fix the grip, and then coming into this position, failure to count and subtract the number of rounds needed versus the number of rounds had. So from this point forward in the stage, I have 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, give me a tool, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 rounds left to shoot. I have 16 rounds in the gun, of course. So a normal person or a smart person would look at this and say, hey, 16 minus 13 is 3 extra shots on 7 steel. So functionally, you have 0 extra shots because sometimes you shoot that many plates in a row. Just weird. So you can call a perfect shot and not necessarily get the hit you want, especially with iron sights. So just shoot like you have 0 extras. And as you're about to see, that's not what happened. So again, smart person would have, from here, had a gut check, like, that was definitely more than 1 or 2 extra shots. I should just throw a reload into this last position. And again, that's not what happens. So that's look to sky, ask for answers, and move on to the next stage. Just remember to not do that next time around. Count out your stage plan, count out the number of rounds in the gun, and figure out how to have a contingency plan that makes sense, because you didn't do that right here, big shooter. Very next stage, very, very good for stage performance. No real complaints here. Pretty much the only thing that's interesting here, you can see I'm, again, still consciously confirming the shooting on this plate, like trying to see something very specific and just it's not happening effectively. So that's not great. It could have been a touch faster right there, of course. Shooting this array, I shot basically side, top, thinking that I could do less gear changes, shoot the 2 side ones with, X size acceptable hit area, and then the top one with Y size acceptable hit area. which sets me up nicely to get onto that play with a little more control. This stage, again, getting my lunch stolen by steel plates. I told myself I was not going to try to shoot but one plate setting up into this position, because if you stuck deep right, you could see like half this array. You can see I think there's 5 or 6 plates back here in a V. If you step deep right, you could see almost all of them. And I didn't want to try to shoot those moving on the way in and then like end up moving slower. So I wanted to focus on running hard into the spot and then shoot maybe the first one on the setup. And as you can see, the gun's already coming up and I'm not anywhere close to there. So that didn't happen. Just getting cocky on these plates. And this last pickup shot, I think, went over the top right shoulder. Called it good off the sight. Realized about right here that I did not actually hear a ding. Had to throw a pickup shot. Bad. This is one of the probably the most technically demanding stages in this section, with lots of far plates and like weird setups with the footwork that had to happen a very specific way. So again, you're going to see what looks like very careful and controlled shooting, just trying to shoot the minimum number of shots. I was one of the first shooters in this stage as well, so I thought that this strategy would work out well on the swinger. You could see this popper from this position. Almost everyone in the squad shot paper, plate, popper, and then when they powered into this port, shot the swinger first. I didn't like that if I missed a step in this crappy terrain, that there's a chance that I would not be ready for the swinger as it went up and away. So I decided to shoot it in the window, but it was a miscalculation to try to double tap the activator. So I missed that first swing anyway. So you can see like a little bit of fishing around to find these targets and stuff like that. This is what I would just consider to be a training takeaway problem. Like I'm coming up in this position and I know that this target is going to protrude from the edge of this wall. So you can see my attention kind of sweeps like inward this way. It's like, oh, yeah, it's a little deeper than I realized, or not quite as deep as I realized. Working on stuff like track liaison and working with opaque vision barriers, like you get better at sort of visualizing in space where your target needs to be. And then just moving forward through this whole section, you see like my feet are moving in a very specific way. Like I have to choreograph my way through this to set myself up so that I can actually take all these just in a flowing manner. So it's a little tough to tell what's going on through the first person video here, but basically you can see the corner of this zone comes out like this and it's bisected with this wall. And to get at this first target, you have to get your foot like way deep in this position. And so my plan was to shoot this one, then that one, and basically take a right-left step back, engaging this target to free myself up to get back around this wall a little easier. But what happens when I step in and take this twist, I can feel my belt gets caught up in the snow fencing on this wall as I shoot this target. So I end up not moving on it because I don't want to try to back up and get twisted off the target or fall down. And then I have to basically use my hand to push myself out. And when I came around and stepped wide, both feet slipped out hard and I fell down on my right knee right here. So I'll play this through. Oh, fall down. Oh, you can see in the third person video, there's a moment of inventorying here where it's like, I realize my left knee is like outside the line right here. And then I have like, no, I can't shoot this from this position. So I have to stand up, get these two guys, and then continue. 3 targets here. Nice, careful, diligent shooting, reload, finish. So yeah, that's like a 2.5 second tack on just for failing to foresee that issue. Not totally sure what to do different about this. This is honestly like, in terms of match construction, this is a little aggravating to have this techie, cutty kind of footwork stuff in a range that's prone to mud. But I mean, it's not the stage organizer's fault. It's just did not foresee getting hung up in the fence in any part of the walkthrough. That's for sure. This is pretty close to flawless stage performance in my opinion. Did not really like. I saw someone else double tap this activator and didn't really do anything, so I just wanted to try to get this first shot out here as fast as possible on the activator. Aiming really carefully on this one moving target because it's sort of a weird tacky closing position, and then power through the rest. The actual shooting performance on this stage was absolutely fantastic, and I had one of the worst reloads of my life right at the end, and that hung me up for a lot of time. Small far plate, doesn't really bug me if I have one extra on it. And this reload right here
Come on, go,
steals
go.
my lunch money. It was one of those deals, I'm sure you probably experienced it, where it's like I pulled the mag out and basically like, you know, if this is the magazine, like I had a round that was like pitched way forward, like the lip was like over the edge of the mag. And so I tried to just fish it into the gun, and then, you know, the round spat out and ended up between the mag and the slide. So as soon as I presented the gun back out, the mag just shot out of the gun. I had to throw another mag in it. And this is the last stage of the match. This one went pretty much perfect. You can see the terrain back there is extremely bad. So I'm not taking as many movement options on this as I would have normally, but the shooting performance is very good. Nice and careful on the hard stuff. I'm not trying to have penalties right at the end of the match. So as you can see, you know, a very far from perfect performance with a lot of big issues, some of which were caused by weird terrain, some of which were just, you know, this match was more dynamic and more technically demanding than the match I'd shot the week prior. So I got to figure out how to apply this new strategy on a match that's more dynamic and better composed than the one that I shot the week prior. But yeah, I'm looking forward to continuing to try this. I think in general, in a lot of cases, I had mistakes that were washed off or at least softened by taking a much more aggressive strategy than I may have in previous years. So looking forward to seeing how this works throughout the rest of the season.